so the proclamations, instead of being read at our ceremony, got read at the kickoff of the welcoming week, which was at Lincoln Square this year. And I thought the kickoff went really, really well. But there was so much people coming and going and stuff that, yeah, it's hard to.
Yeah, the setup was not very good. The attendance was great, but it overwhelmed the.
At least that first stage. I mean, that, I don't know, and because Maggie asked me afterwards, like, because it felt like people weren't paying attention to the people that were talking or singing, yes, but, and I was like, well, maybe in the middle, but I think either way it'd be the same.
That's not a good venue. I would, if we were going to do it at Lincoln Square again, even if we had the lobby open, because the lobby should open by, I think, November, December. I would do it on the other side of the small entrance to Knock, which is now the only entrance, that little tiny thing.
Yeah.
Tiny door next to the arch of the bakery.
It took me forever to find it first time.
Yeah, very hard to find right now. But we could set up a stage or something in that big area where the Idea Store is, and then we would have an adequate flow.
Yeah. So Thomas, since you weren't there, they had a stage for music for people to share things, whatever. Then there was like a food area, and then there was a table area where all the different organizations could table and promote. So the food was kind of in the middle there, and everybody who registered got tickets. Valentina was so funny. She was like, when I was getting my popsicle from Oasis, which is a different beast than a regular popsicle, she was like, but my food is free. I said, well, this is too. Well, you have to pay with a ticket. Yeah, but the ticket was free. She was like, yeah.
Her first time. She's confused on many things. And in this case, I really tried to assist, but she is so independent that many times my suggestion is not the right thing. So she will do it her way, and sometimes it doesn't fit. And it's too bad. So we're due. So that's, I mean, we've started with a summary, but I think that kind of thoughts should be put out too, because the feedback we got was tremendously positive. Probably on this one more than others. It could have been just the makeup.
I mean, I felt like they were all successes, but
yeah, they've all felt good, but this one was extremely, like, more people commented than normal. At the Knock too, the discussion of people was this is important. So it was nice. I think I would shoot for the first weekend. Number one, that will probably separate it from El Grito, which would be nice on the body. But the other is we would, well, thanks to you, Carolyn, we would still be 2 weeks ahead, but it would launch Welcoming Week in a better way too. The openings have been okay, even with attendance. The one that we did in the downtown Champaign did not work, but that's still trying to find the home. And I'm going to insist that we at least talk to Cranard so that their opening weekend is mixed. Actually, no, if we had the awards in the afternoon, it would work, but it would probably conflict with Elnora.
So you're talking about, like, if it was this year, you're talking about like September 9th instead of the 16th? Yeah. So the Saturday, so the day after the kickoff then.
Yeah. This year's schedule from the Cranard was on the same day
as Elnora.
no, as the kickoff of Crowned, and then the next day is Elnora. Actually, I guess no, it is that Friday and Saturday. Elnora is a 2-day.
So Tom, this week, the welcoming week was September 8th through 17th. So we were on the next to last day.
Yeah.
And that's what it's been for a while. But the kind of kickoff that they had this year, I guess, is different than the kickoff they've had before because it's been at the Y. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this week, this time it was more accessible to the community at large because it wasn't on campus.
Right. That makes a difference.
Yeah. But I thought it went really well. And yeah, I kind of wanted to go to that last thing yesterday, but I just didn't have the energy, yesterday, Sunday. I just didn't have the energy for it. I was just like,
yeah,
Mhm.
I obligated myself to go to the one at the IMC.
yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
Yeah, and it was it was actually much more attended than I expected. There were 15 people I counted, and the first lady that shared her story was like a great launching point. Lady from Egypt, but there were several African Americans in the room, which is really the only one in which I saw more than one. Only event that I attended. But anyway, it was more well attended than I had thought it would be, especially because it was such a fuzzy description.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the first time they did that? Because I don't remember that ever happening before.
They had tried to do a digitizing workshop with the same people or same kind of umbrella. But this one was, aside from punch and cookies, it was share, either show and tell an object or a photograph, which ended up to be great sharing, getting people. The way it felt very much is this was more of a lonely kind of event, people wanting to share some of their story because it's just hard if you live alone and you have, it was maybe 2 women in their late 20s maybe. And then everybody else was over 50, I would say. I guess Miriam is not over 50. I don't know how old she is. She hides it well, but the everybody else was at least as old as me. And I'm sure all the stories, I had to leave because I had guests coming for last night's for dinner, which used up a lot of shawarma. Thank you very much. But I still have a tray and a half of rice. So if you guys want, it's very good rice.
It is good rice. You can freeze some of it, depending how much room you have in your freezer. I never have room, but
yeah. So Mr. Garza, if you want some, I can give you.
shawarma.
Listen, our 45 minutes are floating. So, or are we recording already, Mr. Garza?
I just started it up just to start it up because I never know when we're going to actually start talking about it.
Okay. Wow. It was good. I should report back this morning. I went to invited. It was automatic for me before, but the communities of practice that are driving the welcoming plan. So the welcoming plan has 5 bubbles, 5 sectors, and they cross in the middle in a Venn diagram, and the plan is there. So today I sat with the law enforcement, which had every chief, I guess not Savoy, but they had not been invited before, and I don't know why. But the chiefs of police were police, but also the chiefs of fire departments. And it was the other ones I eventually got going, but this one was full of uniforms when I walked in, so I took the empty chair. It's not often that I get to talk with them all, number one. but it was a very strong discussion. I kind of took it over. I feel bad for Tom because he was in charge. Tom is in charge of law enforcement. He is the lawyer for the city of Champaign. So they talk about a lot of things, but mostly it was language access. They still need better. The Chief Terry, the one of Champaign, because of El Grito, I had interactions with him in preparation for, and he really sounds like he's got the energy to go and seek out immigrant communities. I would say that the biggest thing for us is, where are there going to be immigrants together that will feel comfortable in getting a little bit of contact, whether it's a demo or an explanation. The one that came up to in my head that I didn't mention, but he would have been, what happens when you get pulled over? What are the police procedures that they must do, and what are optional, what are requests and what are orders, I would say. Because we did know your rights during the pandemic, and the one that was fuzzy was, what is the passenger obligated to do? Must they show ID? Must they answer questions? Must they identify themselves just verbally? But the one I learned recently was, if a police asks you to get out of the car, not only must you, they can pull you out. Because I've always, when I watch videos, it seems like the cops become very violent. The videos that have they hate enough to show up on my feed. And I didn't know that in Illinois, they can pull you out. When they're asking you, they're ordering you to get out of the car. And you have to comply, otherwise they can get, they say they can take other measures. But anyway, so those things I think are valuable, regular people too, but on the immigrant side, I would think I could see a series of trainings. My only problem with it is, darn it, how do we get people to come?
Yeah.
So I would say they have to be attached to other events. This one at Shadowwood for whatever supplies, what's it called, backpacks full of stuff. We can have the firemen on the side demonstrating or giving away smoke alarms, or, integrate them into something else so that they can feel comfortable, so that whenever they convene, or they come in, give away alarms and invite to let's light a fire training, something that is connected to something that immigrants will show, and then maybe from there take them to the next level. So anyway, it was a very interesting thing. The education, the health group is very active. And then there's the civic engagement. I didn't see as full the tables, but the model that the communities of practice are following are, because it was very hard, you get 5 or 6 people that are important enough in that sector. It's hard to get them together. And so what the NOC has done is, once every couple of months, they'll have what they call a blitz. Everybody shows up to it, and everybody splits off into their tables. And that way the leaders don't have to be corralling people. Everybody's showing up, there's going to be food, and then they're going to report back to each other. So basically 20 to 30 people in the room make progress in their sector, and they inform everybody else of what they're doing. And language access will be the main issue for most of them. There's certainly for law enforcement, but the others too, with the health, huge. Anyway, so the communities of practice to move along the plan are working, and I think we will see fruits as we go from each sector that is. And then, little things happen. The library just started asking, the Urbana Library started asking for hiring new people, and they required bilingual Spanish or I think maybe Korean in their new hires.
Yeah.
That's progress.
Yeah, Lauren emailed me a job description to share with people.
Yeah.
Which I
That
haven't
should be a
yet.
general announcement. When these jobs, I think they are reflecting what we've been trying to teach them.
Mhm.
If they want people from different ethnicities, they should have staff that looks like and understands those people.
Yeah.
So,
You got
and then I can tell you, the police department in Champaign, he has said it many times. I want my force to look like the community. Help me find immigrants that will go to training and prepare themselves to be cops. In Philly, it was automatic. The Italians on the south part of town, they were the cops and the firemen of the city. I think that's it's like an automatic for a lot of immigrants back there.
Mhm.
Anyway, that's the report back.
So is that the dinner that you had last night?
They have it at the I Hotel. They call it the
Oh.
Blitz,
Oh,
and everybody shows up for everybody that can.
Uh-huh.
And the groups are public. I haven't seen them published. It would be nice to publish an article on them.
But they're the groups that were part of the county plan.
Yeah, the welcoming plan for the county, it got divided into sectors because when we had big meetings, two things happened. One, there was a lot of clueless people because it was an open invite.
Yeah.
But two, there were a lot of people that wanted to vent what their problems were instead of doing the work of fixing those problems that people would mention. So this case, these are working groups. It's call it community of practice because those practices will be different according to the sector. But developing best practices for everybody is what that sharing table is about. And fixing common problems, right? So anyway, so I guess those were the main things this weekend. We can also debrief a little bit on the housing a week ago.
Yeah, I think that went well. I think we need to not wait another 6 months or whatever to do another one because then you end up rehashing part of what you've done.
Yeah, I think you're correct, Carolyn. But we had an attendance of, maybe?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My screen was full.
Yeah.
Little tiny people.
I know I missed a few people, a few names, but
yeah, I probably took a picture of it. I'll search for it. But I think that there was only like 3, maybe 4 that volunteered to be part of the discussion of a small group. I was thinking of leaders, just have several leaders that can come up with, I would say, like a prototype of a plan so that people can bounce ideas off of. Hold on. Small problem at this house. Emergency. Go, you guys talk.
Yeah, I thought there were a lot of there was a lot of good information. There weren't a lot of new ideas, though.
Right.
Unfortunately, and I think that reflects probably the bigger issue, which is, houses are huge and expensive and precious to people, and not something that, even though there are a lot of empty buildings and houses sitting around, it's not something that the owners are only casually interested in most cases. They're they're very protective of them, and so the idea of saying, "Hey, let somebody that you don't know stay in your place because it'd be a great, nice thing for you to do," is a big sell. I think is a hard sell.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
I really think we are going to have to come up with some way to get investment in some specific plan, like backing, buying property or leasing it long term or something. It's going to have to be something that's going to cost money, I guess is what I'm trying to say. There's no way around it. It's not going to, you're not going to find probably anyone who's just going to donate space. And like I was thinking, someone mentioned the thing about fraternities and sororities over the summer. That was something that happened in the past. I remember years ago people talking about renting out rooms very cheaply and those things. But fraternities, I can tell you from the perspective of my work, fraternities and sororities are going in a very different direction now. They're no longer, they're phasing out these great big buildings with just lots of little bedrooms in them, and they're tearing those down and building things that are more like apartment buildings. So the fraternity and sorority members are expecting a higher scale of living than they used to, I think. And so I think the days when somebody would just have a big building with a bunch of bedrooms that they're willing to rent out are probably, if not over, close to being over with. So I don't think that's going to be an option anymore. And
it's interesting. Does that mean that all those nice houses around campus are basically you have to knock them down and build that building then for the sorority?
They're doing that a lot in a lot of them, and in others they're just gutting them and redoing the interiors. So in some places they're taking just perfectly good buildings and just leveling them and putting up sort of high rises in their place. But it's just a different way of approaching this communal living thing that fraternities and sororities used to be, or still are, I guess, to a certain extent. So I'm just saying as a point, I didn't bring that up at the thing because I was thinking about it, but since then I've been thinking about it, and I realize that I don't think that's a usable idea really anymore. So
that was Ben's big suggestion months ago. He really had to put that on the table. Actually, I'm meeting with him tomorrow. He really enjoyed, was surprised certainly at the Welcome Awards. And Jack is always so funny, but so understating the jokes.
Mm-hmm.
I could see him having fun in court. I've never seen him in court, and I'm saying I guess this very publicly, but I could see him making jokes that nobody understands, but he's having a grand old time.
Could be.
But an older suggestion of Ben's, well, maybe not that old, but was like to buy a mobile home park to keep the lot rent low. I don't know how you go about that, but there is a tendency, or there does seem to be a trend of developers buying them and then jacking up the lot rent.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of one of our
or something.
Yeah, maybe as a co-op. I saw one of them that I like this one out. Sorry, a little tiny mobile home park that was near my house. I saw the sign and I was tempted because I really like the grove of trees in which it's at, and somebody bought it and they got rid of all the mobile homes. And they were older, dilapidated. I mean, it was not a good sight. It wasn't good for the eyes, but I imagine those people have to find something. And I don't know. I haven't reconciled with the capitalist side of and the need. Like staying in a hotel for one night is so expensive.
I know.
That, in Valentina with 3 days, we paid basically not 3 days. It was maybe more.
I think it was a
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 6 days almost. That's like a month's rent.
Yeah, so that's an option that's only viable for people that have some money. It's not viable for people that, you know, have just gotten here by the seat of their pants and don't have anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
For something more like what the county has done, building, or they bought a building and it houses 12 and they've got 14 in it, she said, but they're planning to build enough to have 18, or not to build, to buy another number of units, so they'll have 18. But, you know, that's still not going to be enough, but it's going to be better.
So, see, so I'd like to separate the fact that in those units, you have people that are getting, well, not permanent housing, but they're getting housing for a longer period.
The Cunningham houses, or Cunningham apartments.
I don't think they have a 90-day window.
I don't think they were intended to be longer, but that's how it's kind of come.
Yeah,
it's worked out.
It's hard because then they can't evict gracefully.
Right, and he said that it's the immigrants that tend to stay longer because they don't know the system and they don't know as much about how to go about finding other housing.
Yeah. So that's for intense counseling, but you know, my same person, I guess putting the name out in public is a little bit hard, but it's been my hard lesson. Seriously shopping for houses, rentals, every day, showings, getting a deal, getting the application, and it not fitting for them as a family, but it's hard. Time consuming, certainly. Yeah, I think we need to pursue it. So I think I mentioned in text, we need to pull together these 3 people that said they want to think about it more. If we have to, we buy them lunch and we take good notes as to, well, my thinking is even now we're not at the stage for a serious proposal. But I think if we developed a prototype that people could criticize, you know, we sit 3 very strong people to draft their best shot.
Yeah.
And then that bring to a larger group, including a forum, to shoot at it and make holes on it. So that then the next iteration can compensate for that thinking. And I would even say maybe even 2 plans, and all expenses paid, or by the seat of your pants kind of funding. Because I seriously believe that for the long term, we are going to have to find that large funder. You know, we can pull together little things, but as you said, housing is expensive, but especially the model is going to be new enough that conventional sources are not it.
Yeah, and our housing is moderate compared to much of the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Our problem is not that bad.
It's still too much for many people.
Yeah. Yeah. We just decided in the house that we're going to try to buy a second home in Urbana or Champaign too.